Nine souls. I've been explaining to you about the differences as well as similarities between Gyan Marg and Bhakti Marg. In brief, both are a form of devotion to God if done properly. The path of Gyan is also a way of doing devotion to God, but the one following this Gyan Marg, he devotes himself to formless God. Simple as that. Whereas the one following the path of Bhakti devotes himself to any personal form of God. However, when Arjuna asked Shri Krishna in the Gita which one is better, he responded by saying that although both will come to me, the path of Gyan is very, very difficult, extremely difficult. Why? Well, he says, first of all, to qualify for the path is extremely difficult. The main propounder of the path of Gyan, Jagadguru Shankaracharya, explained that to even qualify to hear the philosophy of this path, you already have to be totally renounced from the world, from inside, totally detached, having no worldly desires. So it would be extremely rare to find such a person who, before even embarking on the spiritual path, is already at that level. Whereas the path of Bhakti is accessible to all. Anyone who desires to follow the path is qualified too. That's it, no other qualification. Now let's assume a person has qualified for the path of Gyan. Then following that path is also extremely difficult because it goes against the flow of the mind. The Gyani tries to stop the flow of his thoughts by keeping all desires for the world out of his mind and only focusing on formless God, which in itself is very difficult. So two things. It's difficult because the Gyani has to keep his mind out of worldly things without having given, he's not giving his mind any joy. He's just saying, no mind, don't go into the world. So that goes against the flow of the mind. And the second thing, meditating on formless God is a very difficult thing to do. That's why the qualification for the path of Gyan is so high. Even if someone can do all of this, they're still in danger of falling many, many times along this path. Whereas on the path of Bhakti, it's easy to qualify for, and it's also easy to follow because it goes with the flow of the mind. You don't try to stop the mind's thoughts. You simply try to redirect them towards God. You don't try to eliminate desires. You redirect those desires towards God. So it's very natural according to the inborn characteristics of our mind. It goes with the flow of the mind. And the path of Bhakti can be completed very quickly in comparison to the path of Gyan. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidyatati siddhaye yatatam-api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvatah. Gita. He says it takes a long time and a lot of effort for a Gyani to know God. Whereas on the path of Bhakti, you know God through His grace. And you progress through His grace, not through your own power, which is why God gives a promise at several places in the Gita that He protects His devotees. So His devotees are protected from falling, even if they have bad sanskars, even if they deviate slightly from their path. When they come back, they find that Krishna has protected what they had previously gained, so they haven't slid backwards. At least not very much. You can't expect to do nothing and keep progressing. However, it's not like you fall totally and completely like you do in the path of Gyan, or like you're in danger of doing if you deviate from the path. So you have the benefit of God's grace to protect you from falling on the path of Bhakti. That's not there on the path of Gyan, because formless God cannot grace. Only the personal form of God can grace. And the path of Bhakti can be completed rather quickly compared to the path of Gyan, because on the path of Bhakti we purify our heart through God's grace. And on the path of Gyan we purify it only through our own self-effort in trying to get into and stay in Samadhi. So it takes a lot longer because we don't have that added help of having God's grace, that catalyst of having God's grace. Shri Krishna mentions in the Gita, Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparah ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate teshamaham samudharta mrityu sansara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha mayyaveshita chetasam. Shri Krishna says, the one who worships me in my personal form, I take him across this ocean of Maya very quickly. It's his words, very quickly. Ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yogina. At another place he says, I am easily attainable by my single-minded devotee. He doesn't say such things for Gyanis. For Gyanis, he says, you've got a long road ahead of you, a long, difficult road. For Bhaktas, he says, you'll reach me very quickly, and I'm easily attainable through the path of Bhakti. He promises, Hey Arjun, sarva guhyatamam bhuya shrinu me paramam vachah ishtosi me dridhamiti tato vakshyami te hitam manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Arjun, this is the secret of all the secrets, that the one who devotes himself to me with love and dedication and single-mindedness, he comes to me, and that is my firm promise. He doesn't make such promises for Gyanis anywhere in the Gita, but he promises at many places for his bhakta. He says, Priyosi me, because my devotee is dear to me. Formless God, no one is dear to him. Shri Krishna's formless aspect does not do anything, does not think anything, does not feel anything. It's like an inactive divine existence. But Shri Krishna in his personal gracious form graces his devotees. Now, even if the Jnani were to complete as far as he could go on his path of Gyan, all on his own without God's grace, yet, in the end, the most he can achieve is the knowledge of his own self, we call Atma Gyan. But that is not a divine state. In order to attain a divine state, he then has to surrender to Shri Krishna. He has to get the grace of the personal form of God to get liberated from Maya. Otherwise, he'll fall, even from that state of Atma Gyan. Whereas the Bhakt was always surrendering. That's what he was doing. That was his whole path right from the beginning. So the Jnani does all of that work on his own, only to, in the end, have to do the very same thing that the Bhakt was doing all along, surrender to Sakar Brahm. There are some common questions people have, some concerns about the path of Bhakti compared to the path of Gyan. Like they say, but can liberation happen without Brahma Gyan? Without Gyan? Our scriptures say, Rite Gyanan na mukti, Gyana deva hi kaivalyam. Only through Gyan you can get liberation. Without Gyan you can't get liberation. So what if someone follows the path of Bhakti and has nothing to do with the path of Gyan? Will they get liberation? So our scriptures explain, Shankaracharya himself has explained, Tadanugraha hetuke naiva cha vijnanena moksha siddhir bhavitumarhati. He says, I got Brahma Gyan through God's grace. So I surrendered, God graced, Shri Krishna graced, through His grace I got Brahma Gyan, the knowledge of God, and through that knowledge I got liberation. So you see the kram? In between comes surrendering to God and receiving God's grace. That's bhakti. In other words, it is through bhakti that the jnani gets his Brahma Gyan and his liberation. Otherwise not. Veda Vyas explains beautifully in the Bhagavatam. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanancha Yadahaitukam. That Gyan and Vairagya come from Bhakti. Gyan means knowledge, Vairagya means detachment, inner detachment from the objects of the world. You get Gyan and Vairagya by doing Bhakti. He explains further. Bhakti pareshanubhavo virakti ranyatra traishatrika ekakala prapadyamanasya yathashnatah syustushti pushti chudapayo nughasam. This is also from the Bhagavatam. He says, you know, you eat something, and then three things happen. Number one, the feeling of hunger you had, that was like a pain or some suffering, mild or intense, depending how hungry you were, that is alleviated. Number two, you get tripti, you feel satisfied having eaten. And number three, your whole body is nourished. How did it happen? It happened automatically. All you had to do was eat the food. You eat it, the rest happens automatically. You don't have to think about, okay, now I want my hunger to go away, and I also want to feel satisfied, and I also want all the cells of my body to be nourished. You don't worry about that. It happens automatically if you just eat the food. Similarly, when you practice devotion to God, three things happen. You experience more and more closeness with God, which is called Bhav Bhakti. Number two, through that experience, you get more and more knowledge, real experiential knowledge, not just theoretical knowledge. So you understand the secrets of the scriptures on a deeper level because now you're experiencing your relationship with God. It's not just a theory. And number three, you get Vairagya automatically. The closer you get to God, the less your mind is attracted by the world. So you do bhakti. The more you practice bhakti, the more experience you get. That experience is called bhav bhakti. And because of that, your knowledge is growing and your detachment from the world also grows. So you don't have to worry about it. You do bhakti, jnana and vairagya come automatically. Someone else may say, but I heard about panchakosh. Jnanis and yogis say that panchakosh, the 5 material sheaths surrounding a soul like layers of an onion, they can only be removed through jnana. It's described in Patanjali Yoga Darshan also, that through yoga you can remove these sheaths. So people worry. I've heard that if you don't remove these 5 sheaths, you can't get past Maya, you can't get liberation. You can't reach God without eliminating these 5 sheaths. So I know they tell us this happens on the path of yoga and the path of jnana. Does it happen on the path of bhakti? Again, Vedavyas Ji says, Jarayatyashu yakosham jigirna manalo yatha. Again, he refers to the fire of digestion. Just like the fire of digestion burns up whatever you put in your stomach, in the same way, automatically by doing bhakti, those 5 material sheaths are burned forever. You can say through the fire of viraha, virahag. The fire of longing to meet Shri Krishna becomes intense and just burns those 5 sheaths. The 5 sheaths are progressively more and more subtle. The first one is called Annamaya Kosh. Kosh means a covering or a sheath. Annamaya Kosh, that's your sthul sharir, your physical body. Next, more subtle than that, Pranamaya Kosh. That's made up of your pancha pran. You have 5 different, you can say, ways in which the life force moves throughout your body. We call that 5 different pran. And you also have pancha karmendriya, 5 actions, 5 senses of action, you can say, like your hands are 1, feet are 1. So you have 5 senses of action. Those pancha karmendriya and pancha pran, that makes up the pranamaya kosh. More subtle than that, manomaya kosh. That is your man, your emotional mind. More subtle than that, vijnanamaya kosh, number 4. They're eliminated on the path of yoga one by one as you transcend deeper and deeper. Vijnanamaya kosh is your buddhi, your intellectual mind, and your pancha jnanendriya, your 5 senses of perception, like sight, hearing, etc. And number 5, Anandamaya Kosh. This is your Karan Sharir, the most subtle layer of Mayic bondage. On the path of bhakti, you don't even have to think about it. It happens automatically. You go on doing bhakti, eventually your bhakti just burns those 5 sheaths. You don't even have to think about it. Doubt number 3. You have said that the path of bhakti lets you keep desire. In fact, desiring God is bhakti. If you don't desire God, you don't have bhakti. So you desire to see Him. You desire to smell Him. You desire to feel Him, hug Him. You desire to be with Him. You desire to hear Him. So just like you desire this world, you desire Shri Krishna. No difference in the desire. The only difference is in the field of desire. Instead of desiring the world, you're desiring Shri Krishna. So is this not a bad thing? I thought the spiritual path was about getting beyond desires. people wonder. Vedavyasji has again given us the answer in the Bhagavatam. Mayyaveshita dhiyang kama kamaya kalpate bharjita kvathita dhana prayo bijaya neshyate. He says, desiring Krishna, actually, he gives an analogy. He says, like you have seeds, and those seeds have the power to sprout. They have the potential to sprout. But once you roast them, they might look the same from the outside. They're never going to sprout. You put them in the best soil, give them all the warmth and all the water and all the nutrients, it will never sprout. Similarly, by desiring Shri Krishna, all the worldly desires are roasted, toasted. They can never sprout again. The Mayic character of a person's mind is finished forever. So by desiring God, you actually go beyond worldly desires. Desiring God is not the same as desiring the world, although the act of desiring is the same. But because you desired God, so you were freed from Maya. Because by desiring God, you attached your mind to Him. And when you attach your mind to Him, you attain Him. It's very simple. You desire the world, you attach your mind in the world, so you attain the world. You desire Shri Krishna, you will attain Him. It's as simple as that. So desire on the path of bhakti is a good thing if it's directed towards Shri Krishna. It becomes the cause of the elimination of all the impure Mayic desires. Someone might still ask one final doubt. But what about moksha? Arey bhaiya, I told you so many times. Bhakti gives everything. Vedavyasji writes, Yat karma bhiryat tapasa jnana vairagya taschayat yogena dana dharmena shreyo bhiritarairapi. Whatever any other path or practice gives you, you get it automatically from bhakti. He named karma, jnana, yoga, tap, dharma, dan. Whatever benefits, whatever phal you can achieve by following any of those paths, you can just set those all on the side, forget about them, and do bhakti, and you'll get all those results. Can you imagine? Bhakti karati soi mukuti gosai anichhit avat bariyai. Ramayana. Bhakti is so powerful that mukti comes without even being called. Mukti means moksha, liberation. Without being called, the one who does bhakti, mukti comes to you. But a rasik saint says, Bhukti mukti sprihayavat pishachi hridivartate. Bhakti rasamrit sindhu. Ay mukti pishachini. Chudel. Bhag ja yahan se. The bhakt doesn't even care for mukti. Because if you get mukti, you see in the Bhagavatam, 5 kinds of mukti are described. Sarshti samipya salokya sarupyaikatvam apyuta diyamanam nagrihnanti vinamat sevanam jana. Bhagwan himself is saying there's 5 kinds of mukti. One is sarshti, one is samipya, one is salokya, one is sarupya, and one is sayujya. Out of those 5 kinds, sayujya is the one people normally talk about when you merge into formless God. There's another one where you get the seat of Brahma, that's called sarshti mukti. Then the other 3, samipya, sarupya, salokya, they refer or they're related to different statuses that you could achieve in Vaikuntha abode, the almighty abode of God Vishnu. So, Diyamanam, Bhagwan is almost complaining. Diyamanam nagrihananti. I try to give them to my bhakt. He doesn't take them. He says, no, I don't want that. Vinamat sevanam jana. So my bhakt says, I want a personal relationship with you. I want to be close to you and serve you. I don't want to get mukti. If I get mukti, it means I stopped short of getting all this kind of personal interaction with you. So if you settle for mukti, it means you're going to remain bereft of the chance to have a close personal relationship and interaction with Bhagwan Shri Krishna. So, you see, mukti comes automatically. It is said, souls are under karma. Karma is under jnana. Jnana is under moksha, and moksha is under Bhagwan. So on the path of bhakti, your goal is not moksha. Your goal is Bhagwan. If you get Bhagwan, you get everything else under Bhagwan. So you get moksha automatically. There's one more thing beyond Bhagwan. I'll tell you either tomorrow or the next day what that is. Although it is said, Sa parakashtha, sa paragati. There's nothing beyond God, Vedas say. So mukti, although people praise it a lot and they think they want it, but there's much more beyond mukti. So much so that the devotees who know this, they don't ask for mukti, and even if it's offered to them, they don't accept it. One time Bhagwan Ram came to his devotee, Kag Bhushundi, and he said, Kag Bhushundi manguvar ati prasanna mohi jaan animadik siddhi apar nidhi moksha sakal sukh khan. Kag Bhushundi, I'm very pleased with you today. Ask for a boon, I'll give you anything. And he recommends to him, why don't you ask for moksha? See, he's trying to give it to his devotee. He also offered him yogic siddhis. He offered him untold wealth. So what did his devotee do? His devotee thought, why is he offering me moksha? Moksha is not a desirable thing. Is he trying to make a fool of me here today? So he said, oh my dear Lord, I'm not interested in any of the things that you're asking me to, that you're recommending I should ask from you. So what did he ask for? Aviral bhakti vishuddha tav shruti puran jehi gav jehi khojat yogi shamuni prabhu prasad ko pav. I want that thing beyond mukti. Here he's calling it avirala bhakti. It's a divine state beyond the state of mukti, beyond the state of liberation, where you are liberated because, like you learned, liberation comes automatically. You don't have to ask for it. So you're liberated, but you're not only liberated. You get something more than just liberation. So don't worry about liberation. If you do bhakti, liberation comes automatically. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to ask for it. Just follow the path of bhakti. You will get liberated whether you like it or not. But you'll get more than just liberation. It's like a package deal. You get liberation along with something better. So we see that the path of bhakti is totally independent. If someone wants to follow the path of karma, they have to add bhakti in order to reach God. If someone wants to follow the path of gyan, they also have to add bhakti, otherwise they can't reach God. And in the end, the jnani who does devotion to God becomes a gyan yogi and he reaches God. And the bhakt who does devotion to God, he also reaches God, the same God. But as I've explained to you, there's a difference in their experience. And I gave you a couple of examples. I'll give you one more example tonight. Just how big the difference is between formless God, or the experience of formless God, and the experience of the personal form of God. Come to Treta Yuga, the time of Bhagwan Ram's appearance. In Treta Yuga, the greatest jnani of that time was King Janak, the father of Sitaji. King Janak was called Videha because he was so absorbed in the bliss of Nirakar Brahm, what we call Brahmanand, that he didn't even have awareness of his own body. If his hand was in a fire, he wouldn't even realize it. He was that absorbed. So such a high state of bliss. Yet one day Vishwamitra brought Ram and Lakshman into his city of Mithila, and he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He thought, up until now, God has been formless for me. Formless, no form, nothing to see, no characteristics that are visible or describable of any kind, but blissful. And all of a sudden, that same Brahm that up until now I've known to be formless, attributeless, he's standing before me in a beautiful form. Inhi vilokat ati anuraga barbas brahma sukhahi man tyaga. Tulsidas ji says exactly. His mind was forcefully pulled from that state of Brahmanand into this state of Premanand, where he got to experience the bliss of Sakar Brahm. See, it's not like he even had a choice, or he thought about it. Okay, let me compare the two. There's this Brahmanand, then there's Premanand, the bliss of the personal form of God. He didn't even get a chance to do that. He was absorbed in Brahmanand. He saw the same God in a personal form, but his mind was forcefully attracted to that form of Shri Ram, the beautiful form of Sakar Brahm. And then there was no going back. From then on, his mind was ever absorbed in the bliss of the personal form of God. So when that happens, so immediately, it shows that there's a big difference between Brahmanand and Premanand. Soi sukh lavalesh barek sapne hu lahi te nahi ganahi khagesh brahma sukhahi sajjan sumati. Tulsidas ji says, the one who has tasted even a drop of that bliss of the personal form of God, what to say of worldly pleasures, he will totally discount that Brahmanand. Brahma Sukhahi, Brahma Sukh, Brahmanand is nothing for him. It's like nothing once he's tasted even a drop of Premanand. Brahmanando bhave desha chet parardha guni krita naiti bhakti sukham bodhe paramanu tulamapi. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Rup Goswami, he gives a mathematical comparison. He says, even if you took the bliss of Brahmanand And he says, take trillions of that. Put all of that on one side. Parardh, he says. Parardh is more than 100 trillion. And on the other side, put one drop of the ocean of Premanand, the bliss of the personal form of God. He says that much Brahmanand, Paramanu tulamapi. Paramanu means a subparticle, the smallest thing you can imagine. That much Brahmanand is not even equal to one Paramanu of Premanand, of the bliss of Bhakti Ras. Tomorrow I'll continue with some more examples from Dwapar Yug as well as Kaliyug. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai.